Hello, I'm Anne-Maria Nicholson and welcome to the Arts Quarter, where we take a look at the last paintings of the renowned artist Margaret Olley. Also in this quarter, the Sydney Symphony revisits its past to find some melodic treasures, and Opera Australia prepares for its ambitious outdoor production of La Traviata. But first, Margaret Olley remained true to her art right up to the day she died last July in her Sydney home. Now the last paintings by the artist are on show, and some say that they are among her finest. It's the last great picture show of Margaret Olley, and even before the opening, most of the works are already sporting red sold spots. The images are familiar, still lives within the renowned house in Sydney's Paddington, where she painted up to the day she died.
Well, these works are the ones she did in the very last year of her life, one which was almost totally devoted to painting. She didn't go out much in the last year, and her great thing that kept her going was to get this show up and on the walls. And it was quite extraordinary because in the past she always loved doing things and she loved celebrating her birthday, but this time she would not stop painting to do anything.
The artist did break free near the end, doing two large triptychs, one of Sydney Harbour, the other an interior.
In some of these works that they're much freer, looser, and that there's a great control of the light in them.
What was her frame of mind like in the final year?
Oh, very acute. There was she was spot on. There was no deterioration there whatsoever.
The artist did not always win the hearts of critics, but her dealer, Philip Bacon, says this did not stop buyers rushing the paintings.
If it was a bad review, she didn't agonise over it, and I don't even know that she read them that much. She did always feel that she was a little bit overlooked by the art establishment. I mean, she was much loved by people, but that the museums and galleries probably didn't take her as seriously as she might otherwise should have been. But look, all that she was interested in was the doing. She didn't care about the end result. She didn't really care if people bought them. What she wanted was for people to love them, and they did.
The paintings are in place and hundreds of people are preparing to come to the official opening. But there's a gap. Those close to Margaret Olley notice with regret her absence.
She loved seeing them on the walls, lit, framed, so she could have a look at what she was doing and how she could do better. She can walk around on her Zimmer frame and look at each painting and say, oh, I should have done better than that. Why don't I use more paint? Why didn't I get it right the first time? I think I'll just do a little bit of work on that. And out would come the brush in one hand and the cigarette in the other, despite this is a no smoking gallery, and she'd be off.
Proceeds from the sale will go to Margaret Olley's trust to help regional galleries. Opera Australia is putting all its trust in the great outdoors, staging a massive production of Verdi's La Traviata on a floating stage on Sydney Harbour. It's an $11 million gamble aimed at attracting a wider audience. It's international artistry in motion. An American directing Australians in an old Italian opera, La Traviata, in an Olympic sports stadium.
A lot of times people say, oh, sports and the arts, they don't go together, but actually they do go together, because I think everyone who works in both of them is incredibly disciplined and dedicated.
Perth-born Rachelle Durkin has flown in from New York, where she performs with the Metropolitan Opera. The tug to return home to sing the role of Violetta was strong.
And it's very, very exciting. My first Violetta, and to be singing outside is something that I've done before, but never in this sort of arena, I guess, with the conductor underneath and looking at monitors and thousands of people and beautiful opera house behind and botanic gardens and bats and, you know.
This is Opera Australia's most ambitious financial venture, with more than $11 million riding on the production that will move from this stadium to Sydney Harbour. Staging such a massive show destined for the outdoors has raised the logistical bar of the opera company much higher. Pitfalls abound, and not the least of those is the weather. Hope springs eternal in the opera's ranks that come late March, rain will stay away as the huge floating stage is put in place and more than 50,000 people take their seats.
I'm absolutely confident about the weather, and people may find that strange, but I've always thought that somebody up there likes me, and I'm sure it'll be dry.
They're all hoping for a classic happy ending with 18 shows and 18 starry nights. It's more than 50 years since the Russian composer Igor Stravinsky travelled to Australia to conduct his own music with the Sydney and Melbourne orchestras. As part of its 80th anniversary celebrations, Sydney Symphony is recreating those concerts for a new generation of music lovers. For Gregory Elmaloglou, half a century melted away when he heard the symphony orchestra rehearsing Firebird. He played this very piece when its composer, Igor Stravinsky, conducted it here in 1961.
It was a wonderful experience because I have played those pieces many times, but never was part of the audience.
For 43 years, the cellist played with the Sydney Symphony, but still remembers the excitement when Maestro Stravinsky, who was then nearly 80, arrived from New York.
He had a very precise beat. He was very inspiring to the whole orchestra.
German conductor Matthias Pincher is making his debut with the orchestra, recreating the Stravinsky concerts that thrilled audiences in Sydney and Melbourne so long ago. The Stravinsky concerts are one of 7 special programs marking the 80th anniversary. They're milestones of the orchestra's life that were much harder to achieve in the past than they would be today.
Since then, it's become much more common for people to come to Australia, famous composers, the top class conductors, soloists, etc. But back then it was very unusual, and so the arrival of really a megastar like Igor Stravinsky was a huge event for the city and indeed Australia.
But times have changed and music choices are much richer. Under the baton of Chief Conductor Vladimir Ashkenazy, there'll be a year-long procession of world-class performers making their way here.
What we've aimed to do is to continue this fabulous partnership we have with Mr. Ashkenazy to make sure that we're able to present really outstanding soloists that perhaps have never been heard before. I'm a huge believer that anniversaries are to be respected a great deal, but they should be reflecting what's happening now. And I think that's what's very exciting about what we're doing this year.
It's countdown time to the reopening of the Museum of Contemporary Art in Sydney. Art from around the world will be heading to Australia, but one work is being prepared very close to home. In a studio in Sydney's inner west, Helen Eager's planned for months for the commission of her lifetime.
As an artist, I've just worked away for a long time, and I've had good times and quiet times, but I think that you just keep working and you wait for this opportunity to happen and you're ready for it.
Ready for this, making the inaugural artwork for the foyer of the soon-to-be-completed Museum of Contemporary Art on Sydney Harbour.
It's an unusual shape because there's a great big glass window. The outside is dominated by the harbour, so there's lots of blue and green and Opera House over the other side. So I needed something that was different, but maybe complementary.
Helen Eager's a whiz with geometrics. She decided on triangles in 3 shades of orange.
It's going to be the first thing that greets you when you walk into the foyer. It's on the south-facing wall of the circular quay entrance, and so it's full height of maybe 8.5 metres, and then it goes along 15 metres, and it's probably the biggest I've done. Many years ago I did a set for a ballet, so that was quite large. So I do large paintings, but never as big as this.
They look simple, but there's a deceptive complexity to the shapes that she hopes will complement exterior colours of the building designed by architect Sam Marshall.
It's a progression that I've been going through for quite a number of years, like maybe 30 years. What I like is light and colour. And so I guess this has ended up being the essence of light and colour as I see it. I have a great admiration for Matisse and Mondrian, and they've both done the dance and Broadway boogie woogie. So I guess that's in honour of them.
The artist is preparing for the final stage, painting the shapes onto the giant foyer walls. A retrospective of Helen Eager's work will go on show at the Utopia Gallery in Sydney to coincide with the opening of the MCA in late March. Generations of Australians admired the beauty and the poise of Grace Kelly from afar. Now, many years after the Hollywood star turned princess died, they can do so close up. As Ryan Shields reports, a stunning collection of Grace Kelly's attire has gone on show in Australia for the first time.
Grace Kelly is known as a style icon, and the most iconic of her styles are now on display at the Bendigo Art Gallery, from her shoes to her hats and everything in between. The exhibition comprises pieces loaned from overseas galleries, including a replica of Kelly's 1956 wedding dress. Kristina Haugland is from the Philadelphia Museum of Art and literally wrote the book on Kelly's fashion.
Hollywood stars were often very flashy and overdressed and flaunted their very curvaceous figures. She was known for her understated style and her reserve. She was always elegant and always very ladylike.
Grace Kelly was the leading lady of Hollywood's golden era, but she abandoned the screen when wooed by a prince and asked to become real royalty as the new Princess of Monaco.
She was acknowledged for her style, and she inspired the Grace Kelly look before she was even engaged or a princess.
Bendigo secured the rights to exhibit her fashions after an international bidding process. Her descendants will be among the more than 100,000 people to inspect the display.
It makes you miss her very much too, because it makes her come back a little bit and remember how young she was when she left us.
Fans of the Kelly fashions hope the young ladies of today might take a leaf from her book.
It'd be a marvellous thing, both for style, for self-esteem, for all of us, that when we leave the house, when we're not assaulted by seeing so many tracksuits out there.
The exhibition will run until June.
And that's all for now. See you again soon on the Arts Quarter for more news on arts and entertainment.